Welcome, Elwood City Limits listener, to another ECL commentary. That's right, it's a syncable commentary track where you can watch an Arthur special with me, Will Young, and my co-host, Lucas Mancini, as if we're in the room with you.
That's like that's the magic of the internet. That's the magic of radio, I guess. It's kind of a multimedia experience when we do these commentaries.
The magic of broadcast, we'll call it. And speaking of magic, I mean, we're recording this on a particularly warm day, but I think, especially as the clock ticks forward in a year, our minds are never too far from the spookiest time of year, that being Halloween. So it seemed appropriate that as we are going to be releasing this, at least at this point in the summer, you may be hearing this at a bit of a later date, but I think it's never a bad time to go back to October and specifically to Halloween. So we are going to be watching Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse. This is another Flash era Arthur. So Lucas, I'm sure you're probably watching this for the first time.
Yeah, get prepared for me to go, "Who's that?" a bunch of times.
I think you'll mostly be fine. In fact, I think you'll probably know more than you think you'll know. But as this is a syncable commentary track, let me give you just a quick rundown of how these normally work. So Lucas and I are using a link to the special. You can find the special through the PBS Kids app. You can also find it through other means. We managed to find it all in one specific file on YouTube. We will have the link to the specific special that we used in the description if it is available. I think you can also pretty readily find it through your own means as well. But here is how we are going to go. So these specials typically start with the traditional Arthur opening. So where we are going to start is at 0000 of the file that we have, which starts immediately after the opening. So we're not dealing with the Arthur opening. We're just starting on, I believe the first image is like a ghost, like a spooky ghost. So that is what we are going to be starting on. Or no, it's a happy ghost. Pardon me.
Depends on the perspective, Will. If Will was if a specter or ghoul was smiling like this at me, I would be worried still.
Yep, so that's what we're going to be starting on, and we are going to give you the countdown. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. And when I say go, we are going to start playing the video, and you should start playing the video as well, at least if you want us to be correctly timed to what's happening on screen. So remember, on go, we are going to start playing. So get everything ready. Get your seasonal candy together, get your costume ready, turn down the lights because this one gets a little spooky, and we're going to be watching Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse. We're happy to be doing this once again with you. We're kind of running out of these Arthur specials, got to be honest with you, so which is why we got to enjoy them while they're here. Okay, so here we go. Get your play button ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, no, I just felt that this was appropriate. We are the original recording of this is in August, so Halloween is already coming. But if you're listening to this after Halloween, I mean, Halloween's just kind of one of those things where you can just kind of do whatever. By the way, great idea, giving the Tibbles a mime costume.
It's true.
That's inspired.
It's probably was Grandma Thora, or not Grandma Thora, but the Tibbles' grandma's idea to get them to shut up.
And it's just like, why haven't we tried that before, I'm sure you can listen into other commentaries and other episodes for our feelings on the Flash animation. This one's actually pretty recent. Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse, I want to say, was only just a couple of years ago. So, in our own little way, we're kind of looping our way back around. This would have been 2017.
And this looks a little bit better than... You know me, I'm the number one critic for the Flash style, but so far this looks a little bit better than the stuff I've seen thus far. Makes me wonder that if, because this is kind of a longer episode, did they get kind of like the A-Team budget or something to make it give it a little bit more of that sheen?
It also helps that the character models, which are normally pretty stiff, are in different costumes, different one-off costumes. So that also helps in at least making it visually interesting, if they can't be interesting from a motion perspective.
For instance, Buster is going as someone with rosacea on their nose, apparently.
What is that?
You can I don't know how to describe it. It looks like how Buster's fake nose looks.
Okay. He's going as like a candy monster. a monster that is nice as long as you feed it candy. And Arthur is, I believe, Frankenstein if he was a dentist, a Franken dentist or something to that degree. I watched this earlier today so that I could at least be the one to answer Lucas's questions of who's that. And of course, we've already sort of met LaDonna. We don't really know what her deal is.
She's missing her one character trait that we're used to her having, which is her hat.
But she does have a hood this time. She's a spider, which I like her spider costume. I like the way that the arms are kind of all moved together as one. I think that's kind of a funky effect.
Especially with her rabbit ears poking out. It's like a half rabbit, half spider. It's very like Beast Wars.
So Arthur is talking about specifically a haunted doll that is going to be kind of on the front of his mind throughout most of this. We're getting into like this has a little bit of a what do you call what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're different like short stories.
It's like an anthology.
Anthology. Thank you.
Oh, that's pretty cool because it's so much of like kind of a horror trope. By the way, I forgot if I mentioned this earlier on recording, but apologize if I sound a little hoarse. I definitely have a sore throat and cold, but I got my mint tea, so I'm gonna try and push through.
If anything, Lucas, it's more appropriate that you would have that for a special that would be taking place in October because, I mean, as we are right now, summer colds are absolutely no fun. But in October, well, it just sounds like you should have been bundling up a little bit more.
That's right. I have some sort of pneumonia, or maybe I have, whatever sort of, here's a scary thought, whatever mutated COVID is around in October. They're going to be at the Zeta variant by then.
Oh man, let's hope not. This also horrendously dating this commentary. It's just like by the time you're listening to this, wherever you are, it could be like, oh yeah, we were just talking about the Delta variant, or in several months, it could be like, so the things have changed drastically.
Yeah, for all we know, people are like listening to this commentary like we're like a character in BioShock or something, and this is like our last known audio.
It's an audio diary.
So this is, again, a DW voice. I suppose everyone's voices are the most recent voices.
I'm a little bit more invested in the DW voices now, thanks to
true.
Finding DW. I should actually check which voice this is, because it could have been somebody that friend of the podcast, Jason Schwimmer, had on the show. He just had he's been getting them pretty consistently. I'm telling you, no matter when you're listening to this, if you haven't checked out the Finding DW podcast, you need to. Wow, this IMDb page is terrible. Oh my God. Just awful. They have one person listed as cast.
I was on today for my job. I was looking because I work in university recruitment. I had to look at a lot of high schools' websites today. And those are some of the worst websites I've ever seen in my life. One of the high schools had a website where like the whole thing was totally broken, and they had this basically like, you know how websites will like across the top they'll be like, oh, here's some helpful links that you're sure to use. Well, sure. Most of them are like staff list, stuff like that, schedule. This high school had one that just said lice. It was like lice info or something. And when you click it, it takes you to a locked Google Doc that you need a password for.
Oh man, you're in the wild west of things here.
I know, it was pretty spooky. Just like that doll that Arthur just looked at that said Zelda on the back.
Yeah, so that's a doll of mysterious origin. He's not really sure where it came from, but it is pretty creepy looking. This is kind of a flashback to this doll that has been haunting Arthur's dreams, apparently. Apparently this is Christian DiStefano, who's playing DW, who was on an episode of Finding DW. So again, if you want to know more about him, please check it out. Kind of surprising. I wouldn't have expected, I guess I wouldn't expect anything, but to find out what Christian is really passionate about, you got to check out Finding DW for more of that. I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh my gosh. I'm not even commentating because I'm just so enthralled. Like, who wrote my Treehouse?
I will say one thing good that you can say about the Flash animation is that it does allow for very quick character reactions. They're not, I wouldn't call them fluid, but they are very snappy.
I wonder, like, what is the security like at the Reed household? Like, for someone to climb into that treehouse and write, "This is my treehouse," like, would they have had to have snuck into Arthur's backyard? Because really, the treehouse, if you could get into that yard, there's not, like, a lock on the door.
But the treehouse isn't exactly in Arthur's yard. It's kind of on neutral territory.
Yeah, it seems like it's in some sort of central location, like, because you just saw the backwoods right there. So,
yeah.
Who's to say that it isn't this guy? Maybe a homeless person is squatting in Arthur's treehouse.
Yeah, they're lucky. I mean, I really don't think that there is much security to speak of. Yes, this literally could be anybody, but okay, that didn't look super great.
I'm spooked. I'm spooked, Will.
Oh, see, we're getting you in the holiday mood, and by the holiday I mean, the most evil and scary holiday. It's August. I'm already seeing people excited for Halloween, and I am too. Like I'm not looking down on those people. It's just, it's such a great time of year that I'm happy to get into it early.
Buster's been reading some weird alternate timelines.
Maybe he's a big Sliders fan.
Is that Binky? It sounds like Binky. Oh no, it's Francine.
Nope, she's in her prom queen dress. Prom queen costume, excuse me. I find that's something that we haven't really seen is this little like block here to keep for like it's to make sure they don't fall out, I guess.
Oh, wow. The nanny state.
Well, it's also like they're gonna be having a sleepover up there.
Oh, so they don't roll out.
Exactly. Oh, I guess this means that Molly and James live in the same building as Francine. So, Lucas, you and I both live in apartments. Have you ever lived in a complex that did that allowed kids to trick or treat?
No, I whenever I was a kid, I wasn't living in an apartment, and as I don't think there's any kids in my building. I live in like the type of area where if you're living in this building, you're either like a young person or you're like a really, really old person who never had kids.
Right. Yeah, no, I never have, but every Halloween I buy a full-size candy bar just in case one kid happens to come by, and if they do, then they'll know that I'm one of the good places.
Yeah, my parents be a full-size candy bar kind of household because they get so few kids on their cul-de-sac.
Nice. By the way, earlier on, Mrs. Parizeau handing out prunes? I don't think so, buddy.
That's a good way to get TP'd.
Well, and it's just also not really in her character. She's like the cool old person.
I guess you can't TP at an apartment. I suppose they would like burn shit in front of her door or something. I don't know. I'm not up on my tricks. It's been have you ever done a Halloween trick, Will?
No, I was too much of a good boy. I wouldn't have gotten involved with that stuff.
My dad would TP some of the neighbors' houses sometimes.
Really?
Like not the whole house, but like their tree or something.
Sure. It
was all good fun.
No. There's actually later on in this special there's a good reason why, you shouldn't be doing that, but no, I was never really like a trickster. I was never that kind of a kid. Now this I liked. I appreciated them bringing up the lore of the golem. With this Jewish character.
It's true. I don't know much about the classic kind of Jewish golem. When I think of the word golem, I think of like the big golden like Dragon Quest one.
Oh, sure. I always think of the silent film Der Golem, which which I haven't actually watched, but it was referenced a few times in film classes I would take. It's actually free on YouTube. Like if you just search Der Golem.
It's probably the rights have expired or what have you.
Oh yeah, it's from like 1915, 1920. So
speaking of 1950, 1920, do we know what country this is supposed to be?
Jewish one.
Yeah, it's Poland or Romania.
Yeah, something like that. She might have made this explicit, by the way, everybody. I don't take notes for this one. I just watched through one time, so I apologize if I forget any details like that. But it's like Mindelplatz.
That sounds German to me.
Yeah, it could be just Germany, like a Germanic country. Yeah. This is pretty hardcore. The person in this story breaks all of his fingers. At first, I thought it was just like,
wow,
he straight up died, but no, it breaks all his fingers.
Not since
and it's never the same.
Not since Babe Pig in the City. Is it the first Babe where the guy breaks all his fingers?
I just watched the first Babe. I don't remember that happening. Okay, that might be Pig in the City.
That might be Pig in the City. I remember as a child being deathly afraid of the part in one of the Babe movies at the very start where the farmer gets his hand stuck in like a oh, what's the term? You know when you have a wheel that has a piece of string going around it? I forget what that's called. A hinge?
I might. It's
anyway,
not ringing any bells. I'm sorry.
The farmer gets his hand stuck in one of those because it's like attached to the top of a well. It's very scary. That must be Pig in the City.
I think it's Pig in the City. That's kind of known as the little bit more of the dark one. I definitely don't remember that happening. I watched Babe last week, so that's it. I definitely don't remember that happening. But yeah,
interesting.
The first
you put stuff into the golem to make it do things. It's like the Xbox Kinect when they were first showing it, and they were like, "Yeah, you could hold up a skateboard, and your skateboard will show up in the game. Look at this thing."
Then Milo will be able to. You'll be able to hand it off to Milo.
Oh gosh, I'm not giving anything to Milo. I love how big this thing's head is. I thought it was just going to be like a bunny, like the regular bunny models, but covered with golem clay. But this is like kind of a weird rotund,
much like the Pokemon Golem. It's very big.
See, this is where the Flash animation really kind of doesn't hold up to snuff. It's like a scene like that where a bunch of characters are running by. It just doesn't look good.
No, it's very flat looking.
Yeah.
I can imagine this being done in a earlier season style and having it being a bit more dynamic. Perhaps.
Well, especially with the big creature of the golem. Like, think about the nightmares in the first season and the way, like, I harken back to, like, Arthur getting digested by a clam.
Yeah. I've never had marzipan.
No, when I'm trying to remember if I have.
It sounds kind of nice. Almond paste.
Yeah. My familiarity with marzipan begins and ends with Homestar's girlfriend.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
This is highly suspicious that you have this.
What are you trying to pull?
I'm calling the cops. I concur.
It's one of those, like, it's not like boo scary, but it is like chilling in a way. Reminds me of like a Freaky Story or something. By which I mean the YTV television show.
I see. It's more Freaky Story than it is Goosebump.
Yes, yeah. Which, by the way, if you have Tubi, you can watch Freaky Stories now for free. You can also watch them on YouTube for free as well. That's a good time. I like watching a Freaky Story now and then. An episode of Freaky Stories, I should say. So Bailey and Muffy in their Alice in Wonderland attires. I'm gonna mention this now. We get quite a few shots in this one of front-facing Bailey, and I don't like it.
Is it
So
like
keep your eye out for front-facing Bailey.
is it like kind of when the Simpsons characters look head on and it just looks weird?
A little bit, yeah. It reminds me of when they would do it in BoJack Horseman, and it would look okay with some characters and not so much with others.
Also, I don't understand why Buffy's putting up such a like fuss. Like, is chewing gum a poor people thing? Like, what is the opposition?
I don't know. There's a much higher percentage that children have chewing gum than adults, though. Like there were not there. I can think of maybe times I could count on two hands. There's one.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that's weird.
Ugh. I don't like it.
I'm chilled. I'm spooked.
Confirmation that Elwood City has a cemetery. Just kind of things you wouldn't have to think about normally in an Arthur episode. Of just like, stop showing it.
Look down, Bailey. Why are you looking up?
Ugh.
Yeah, like, I don't know. The backgrounds in this episode actually look really good. Like, I've liked all the scenery and setting, but like stuff like that where like Bailey's jumping over that raccoon, it's really looks so non-fluid.
Yeah. Which as I mentioned before, I think can be good sometimes when you're dealing with like when you're dealing with like snappy reactions. By the way, Joy Noel on that tombstone, har har. It can look okay, but if you're comparing it to say the fluidity of past seasons of Arthur, there's almost no comparison. I mean, as much as we've been critical of the animation where we're in currently in the show, there is something to be said about the fact that it is still fairly fluid. It's from a it's hand drawn animation. But
I've never heard Bailey just referred to himself as edgy in terms of like, oh, I'm on edge. But I feel like I've never heard edgy used in that way. Like, when Bailey's like, oh, perhaps I am a little edgy. I do frequent image boards.
I have been jokeified, Ms. Marvin. I do like, I forget if we've heard it already, or we might later, but Bailey, his last name is Belvedere. So, could be a distant relation of Mr. Belvedere.
Good harkening back to when Francine went to clown school.
You know what? I was going through the Arthur episode guide recently, and there was like Francine's Big Top Trouble. Completely forgot about that episode. Like, absolutely. Like, I went past it. I'm like, oh, we're going to get to an episode where Francine goes to the circus, huh? Completely forgot that we'd already talked about it. I'm sure that's going to keep happening as we continue going through the Arthur episodes, but like, man, like some of these just in one ear out the other. I don't think we were particularly high on that one either, so I don't think I'm missing anything.
Speaking of the circus, I haven't forgotten about. Oh, I guess we're I forgot that we're talking about the future here. I have all my Marvin the Tap Dancing thoughts. The Tap Dancing Horse, rather, not the Tap Dancing thoughts, but I have all my thoughts on Marvin the Tap Dancing Horse.
We've been tap dancing around that episode.
Well, you dear listeners in the future, you've actually heard our thoughts already, so I'll let those speak for themselves. Bailey, Ugh. Is Buffy wearing? Oh no, she's
yeah, she's Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Although I don't associate the color green with Alice.
No.
I usually think of it as blue, but but I'm also thinking of like the Disney version. I mean, I will say, Arthur's just like, oh no, the roof can leak of the treehouse. It's doing pretty well, honestly. For something that is meant to look like kids made it, even though we know that they're like parents made it.
Yeah.
It's pretty,
I had a treehouse as a child, and it wasn't like, you wouldn't want to sleep up there. There was so much like sap, and like, eventually what would happen is the whole interior just became sticky.
Yeah. Yeah, you would have to have it like professionally made. Speaking of professional, Binky dressing up as a professional wrestler. I forget the wrestler's name, but like known for how big they are. So he's basically the Bastion Booger of this universe. You're right, Buster. Brussels sprouts kind of are delicious, especially if you smother them in olive oil, put some salt and pepper on them, put them in the oven for 20 minutes.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Did Buster just eat a cooked Brussels sprout, or was that just a raw one?
You can eat a raw one. I mean, you can do better.
You absolutely. I just wonder, like, what Buster got in his bag.
Must have been a raw one. Maybe it's from his garden, perhaps. Maybe somebody picked that from the garden. Tough Customers cameo. Appreciate it. So now we're getting into the TP of it all. This is where Binky has been picked to TP Mr. Ratburn's house.
Oh, nice. Like, of the classic Halloween tricks, TPing is like, sure, it's annoying to clean up, but like egging is way worse.
Yeah, egging you have to do like serious cleanup. At least with TP, depending on the weather, you just have to remove it.
Yeah, it's pretty inoffensive.
I would love to go to an Edgar Allan Poe themed haunted house. Like, that's the type of haunted house I would actually do.
Ah, it's Satan.
Mask of the Red Death, but absolutely close. Definitely close. I'm actually kind of surprised I got away with that.
Yes. The first appearance of Beelzebub in a Arthur episode. Mask of the Red Death, I mean, is pretty messed up for Arthur as well. Speaking of petulance and disease. That crow's just like, it's a living.
I should read more Poe. I'm a bad English graduate. I haven't read a whole lot of Poe. Read a couple of his short stories, but only the ones you would know about. Seen more Poe-based movies than or Simpsons shorts in some cases. Which is really great. I love their version of the Raven.
That's really funny. Are you one to do like a haunted house? Or you want to like show up to like the scary maze? No.
No. Now I worked in one when we were both working at the radio station, but no, oh my God, no. I'm far too terrified to do that. Are you?
I've never actually been to one. It's not because of fear or anything. I've just never gone.
It's absolutely out of fear for me. Just have to admit that. I wish, though. I've seen a bunch of documentaries about people who make them in their own like houses.
Oh yeah,
like, people who like put their lives on hold to make haunted houses out of their own houses. It's really interesting. I like kind of going through them on YouTube. Yeah. I think is kind of fun, but no, in person couldn't do it. And some of them sound really interesting. There's a couple that have been like done in New York that like changes every year that I'm really curious about. And then there's a different type of fascination when you look into like the extreme haunted
I was just gonna say the extreme ones is the ones where you have to like sign a waiver.
Yeah, those are fascinating, I guess, from a sociological standpoint of like, I can't believe this is happening. What is wrong with the people who do this kind of thing? Not the people who do them, but like the people who create them, especially the one McCamey Manor, the one that I'm thinking of. That guy, there's something wrong with that guy.
I guess we'll answer this question when we get to these Flash episodes. But the new character, what's her name again?
LaDonna.
LaDonna, I just don't understand kind of what archetype she's supposed to serve that's not already being served by the other kids. I'm curious. I feel like these specials are really a bad way to get to know her, because it's not like you're gonna like have her family or her situation be centered upon. It's more of like it's the Arthur kids at Halloween, kind of this the gang's all here ensemble episodes. But I wonder, like, what's LaDonna's deal?
She seems to be similar in the mold of like a Francine. I don't know if I would call her a tomboy from what I've seen, but she's almost like she's almost like an OC, like somebody's fanfic OC. I don't know.
The Arthur create a character.
Yeah, exactly. The one you would make for the video game.
Grandma Thor's costume is awesome. That's a really good costume.
I missed Kate's costume the first time. Little Red Riding Hood. That's so cute. And that's Bud, LaDonna's little brother.
So wait, do they both have funny hats?
Yes. Yeah. And also Bud has like a hick accent. I don't think LaDonna does though.
Wait, like what do you mean by like a hit? Like, does he talk like Boomhauser? Like
no, well, he's just, I mean, if you can hear it throughout the special, but it's just like that's done plumb the lowest thing I've ever heard. Like, caterpillars in a cornfield, like that kind of stuff. Like that sort of accent is what he's got going on. He's also like, I didn't really realize this from what little we've seen in the Flash era. He's like DW's bestie. Like, he's always hanging out with her. And even in this special, they make mention a couple times of like, oh, why don't you invite Bud over? Or why don't you go with Bud? So it's like DW and Bud are just like best pals. And to your point, Lucas, I kind of don't like, other than like a funny voice, I guess he's like also like a slightly mischievous young boy that can kind of bounce off of DW in that way. So I guess maybe I see a little bit more to Bud than I do to LaDonna. Anyway, like we mentioned before, I'm very interested to meet her for real outside of these specials.
Hill. Oh, she's kind of got the accent too.
You talk funny. Yeah.
So maybe that's their shtick, is just that they're from flyover country.
That ghost is not messing around. It looks like a security, just like, stay out. Sorry, Lucas, what did you say?
Oh, I just said that's their shtick, is that they're essentially from flyover country.
They've definitely, I think. Now, apologies if you're listening to this and I'm totally wrong. I think their family is in the military. So they like move around a lot.
I just can't be scared of a doll named Zelda.
Zelda? I'm keeping the Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse section on the Arthur wiki handy in case there's anything that I can't answer that I need to look up. There's like a list of characters, major and minor, who appear, and I like how there's major character David Reed (parentheses does not speak). Very helpful.
No Bruce Dinsmore this time around. Well, we did have Binky
and Bailey. But only doing double duty instead of triple duty. I also have to get used to the actors saying LaDonna and Bud, which is just like, you've heard them say each other's names so much. It's just like LaDonna and Bud.
Yeah.
I could also hear Jodie Restler's Canadian accent on that one. LaDonna.
It's funny that you mentioned that, Will. So me and my roommate, we've been playing through Kingdom Hearts 3, and the amount of times characters in those games go Sora, Donald, Goofy, in that order over and over and over again. I was like, like, I'm no writer, but I would have simply have given them like a team name, like, I don't know, the Heroes, or literally anything, so you didn't have to say Sora, Donald, Goofy every single time.
I've definitely seen a video of that somewhere. I forget if it was like a larger Kingdom Hearts review or if it was literally a video of just Sora, Donald, Goofy, Sora, Donald, Goofy. Yeah, it's one. What about has Donald found a good spot to find some ingredients? That's my favorite thing, and I don't know why. It's in the video game donkey video, but I also remember when my friend was playing through Kingdom Hearts 3 and I was kind of hanging out and watching him play, he was doing the Pirates of the Caribbean part, and he says that a lot. And I just noticed around like the 5th time that Donald's like, this might be a good spot to find some ingredients.
No, yeah, there's a really great video out there called Why I Can't Show My Friends Kingdom Hearts that has some really choice clips out of context.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
It's
Riku. They put bugs in him. What?
Why I can't show my friends Kingdom Hearts. So I typed in why I can't, and that's the second. That's the second thing. Okay, I'm gonna just watch this. No, not now. Gonna watch it later. There's another. I'm guessing Freddy Krueger reference.
That's crazy that they have the Elm Street reference though.
And if you'll notice, the mausoleum that they're in is Katzenelnbogen.
Oh,
which must have been a hell of a time carving all of those letters or shaping them, or however you do that. I thought when they encountered this cat, it was going to be Nemo, but
yeah, he does look like Nemo with a different skin.
Oh, that's pretty cute. See, it'd be fine if it was Inky. It's just like when you have to give it a last name. I don't know.
Well, it's like Freddy Krueger, Inky Krueger.
Yeah, no, I know. Like the joke works, and we're never going to see it again, so it's fine. I'm just talking about pet names in general.
Oh, like you don't like it when?
Yeah,
I've known pets that would like their full name was like Mr. Paws.
I hate the Mister. That's such a fakey name. It's such a hack like writing thing that you see in movies or like TV when it's like, how do we show that this cat is pampered? His name is Mr. Muffins or like something. And it's like, ugh, it so rarely works.
I feel so bad for Mr. Rapper, and he's done so much work on this, and he's only had one kid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there are plenty of places like that. There are a few places here. If you drive around Halifax during Halloween, a lot of houses like do it big, and I feel bad for those who like Mr. Ratburn who put a lot of work into it and just don't get a lot of returns, especially in years like this or last year.
Oh, with the corona, yeah.
Yeah. So LaDonna's got like a little bit of an accent, but she is not as like Arlen, Texas as Bud is. So I'm curious if that's like a character thing where like maybe Bud was born when they like lived in, Arkansas or something.
I don't know. Bud sounds like Kevin Bacon in Tremors. Oh my goodness, the Curse of the Movie. What a throwback.
Yeah, so this is interesting to add to the Arthur lore. The video game Curse of the Movie was adapted from this old silent movie.
Weird, it was a tie-in. Oh no, it was adapted. Yeah. I see.
Well, it's like they adapted a silent movie and then they just added Dark Bunny into the video game. So it's like if you made a Superman game that was like like Batman and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, which would be awesome. Oh my god, I want that so bad.
Also, this is kind of a revelation. I did not know Arthur's couch was like 5 kids wide. There's even some room on the other end of Buster.
It's pretty big.
I don't know if we've ever seen them all packed in like this, though. Oh, it's 4 kids. 4 kids.
You can see about 4. Yeah, 4 is about right. Plus, they're kids. They're pretty small. This is funny. This reminds me of so my wife often tells me about when she was younger and living at home. She had she had several little brothers, and so eventually she stopped going out trick or treating. But what she would do is she would negotiate with them for like the choicest picks of their Halloween candy, kind of like mafia don style.
I like just like the mooing coming from the TV.
Just the ambient mooing. So DW's Blanky changing colors again.
Those don't really look like clusters. They're like kind of angular, like
Yeah,
a Kit Kat or something, or a toffee bar.
yeah, like a long solid bar.
Yeah, it doesn't look like kind of clustery like an O. Henry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wish I had some Halloween candy right now. Right now when we're recording this, and I guarantee you, whenever you're listening to this, I want some Halloween candy. Just a couple snack size. Now you said O. Henry's. Now I want some snack size O. Henry's. I'm not much for chocolate, but it's a perfect amount.
It's true. I'm not a big chocolate guy either. Lately, I don't have much of a sweet tooth at all, but I'll like get a craving for like cookies.
Oh, what kind of cookies do you crave?
I think, well, it depends on the moment, but lately it's been like last week I had a craving for, we were talking about maple flavor in my group chat. And some people were saying that maple was overrated and other things, but I brought up those maple cookies. You ever have those maple cookies where they're like in the shape of a leaf and they're like
yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm sure I have, but they're not like a go-to for me. I'm also not a huge fan of maple flavor.
When you get maple syrup, do you get like the Crown Royal like corn syrup stuff, or are you going all in on that like expensive Nova Scotia maple syrup?
No. I find that a lot of the like more expensive high-end maple syrup, like the taste is too strong for me. So I grew up with I don't normally get maple syrup anyway because I don't really have anything to put it on. I don't get pancakes or waffles or anything like that. I grew up on the brand that has been recently, they're not calling it that name anymore. Is it not called
Aunt Jemima anymore? Is it just called Jemima?
I think just Jemima, right? So Jemima maple syrup. That's the maple syrup that is my go-to. Front-facing Bailey again. Yeah, that's my go-to maple syrup. It's pretty mild compared to what you can get out there, but I kind of like it that way. Like I said, I'm not a big maple fan.
Yeah, evidently.
Oh, I like the goblin hand coming out of the mailbox. That's a fun gag. Geez, Ratburn created this like whole fake house front.
Yeah, he's got like an escape room basically.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I much prefer to do an escape room than a haunted house. (2x + 5y = -1).
That's pretty advanced for grade 3.
Yeah, I don't know if I could figure it out in my head, but I could probably get that one. One thing that I've also seen with a lot of the Flash animation Arthur stuff is that at least around this time, and maybe it was a little bit before, but they really let Arthur Holden go a little bit kookier with Mr. Ratburn's voice. He's not so stuffy. And we've seen that as Mr. Ratburn gets more and more kind of Flanderized as he goes along, but he's really allowed to be a little bit more goofy with the Mr. Ratburn voice. I should done my God. I want bad mode. He bad that get like corn pone on gimbal. Wow. You pointed it out. It's I can't stop hearing it. Hey, nice touch. They changed the 9 o'clock to 9:01. I know that's pretty basic, but
Buster looks ridiculous when his neck is like usually the neck hole like right there. It doesn't look like it's attached, but when he was like looking at us head on, he looked so crazy. Actually, now the more I look at Buster's head, the more the proportions seem a little weird. Like if you really look at his head and look at his hands and look at his head again.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh,
this is like the most 2021 Arthur's ever been. Finding the place to charge your phone at the party.
And she's using a big block charger, so that thing's going to charge wicked fast. I like Mr. Haney's costume is just, a Mardi Gras mask. And what he would normally wear. King behavior.
Arthur's dad is a giant novelty sandwich.
I feel like he might have dressed as that before. Like I'm not remembering off the top of my head, but I feel like Dad Reed has dressed as a sandwich before.
She's got this golem story ready to go.
I do like the gradual reveal of this is just a prank they play on kids. It's a good prank. I think that would be fun to adapt. Jenna and I, if we actually got people here, that would be pretty funny. Now, I don't know what this puppet's from, but it's like that. Initially, when they showed it and they did that slow zoom in, it was kind of creepy. I'll give him props for that. I would love to get that. I know it's not candy, but that would be awesome. Like that would just be a great present to get
True.
anytime. Like a friend of mine has like the collected works of H.P. Lovecraft, and it's like it's just a big, huge book, and it's just like cool to have it all there. My sister and I, one year for Christmas, we got the collected Narnia. Like one of us has it somewhere, but it's like
those C.S. Lewis collections are really cool.
And it is like all of the Narnia books in one. Now the funny thing is I don't think either of us ever read it, but we do have it somewhere. I wonder. I can't turn my head too far, else it'll be off the
okay.
microphone.
I was gonna mention this earlier when we were talking about what Poe we've read. I remember this one where the guy gets like buried alive in the wine cellar.
Yeah, the Cask of Amontillado. That's one that I read in junior high or high school. It's like this, the Raven, and then like maybe the one of the other famous ones. Oh, it's escaping me. They just did it. The Telltale Heart. Maybe that one. But I basically know it by proxy.
Biggie is practicing what the hip hop lawyer Reacts would call self-snitching right now.
See, he's got like the Giant Bomb video feed going on over here. That's licorice skeletons. I think there are also some some Edgar Allan Poe adaptations that they did in the 50s and 60s with Vincent Price.
Ooh.
So I think
Very
those would be
spooky.
probably where.
Very
I know there's
apt.
definitely one. I know there's definitely one for Mask of the Red Death. Mr. Ratburn mentions here that TPing not very environmentally friendly, which
True.
we are just in the aftermath of figuring out how doomed we are in the wake of the.
Ooh.
Yeah, really. That's a fear that never goes away, and in fact gets worse. Bud's ears are floppy. Like compared to like Buster or LaDonna, his ears are always kind of floppy. I wonder if that's like an age thing.
If I had to resell the Reed family couch, I would definitely cut off the little skirt at the bottom. This is my little pro tip if you're ever trying to upsell on furniture you find at the thrift store. You can just cut those damn skirts off, and then they look all mid-century modern.
All right. Dust your hands off. You're good to go. Grandma Thor's voice is a little different. I wonder if they recast her at some point. Could just be the actor getting older. It's like listening to Julie Kavner do Marge now. It's just
I haven't watched a lot
sad.
of recent because I'm really doing my first rewatch of Simpsons now. I never really watched it when I was younger, so I've been watching the golden years. So I don't know how much the voices have changed in the modern episodes.
You can hear it. It's just kind of like a lot of their voices sound worn, like especially Dan Castellaneta and especially Julie Kavner. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. It's just that like they put out something last year for like before the election, and it was like Marge saying who you should vote for or whatever. And oh my God, she sounds so old and like her voice just cracks, and I'm like, please stop doing this voice. It sounds like it physically hurts you.
This is like torturous for me because my voice hurts right now doing this, so I can only imagine.
Oh, Lucas, you're so close. You're
I know
doing so well.
we're on the home stretch.
Oh, hey, there's that penguin toy. I forget the name of it, but that penguin toy. At least we get some good like visual
That's
references.
scary. That would be really scary.
It is a good big scare to hold until the end. That's not bad. Dad Reed's sidling into the house in his sandwich costume.
It is very funny now that we know that he for sure does not talk this whole time, because it's really odd. Like, I probably wouldn't have noticed it unless you've mentioned it before, but like him just kind of like making angry faces.
And he did it like a shrug earlier, and that's about it.
The silent sandwich.
Ooh, that's the name of my deli.
I love that DW has like a solid gold. Not DW, sorry. Muffy has a solid gold phone.
You know what? I totally missed that. That's a good point. It's also crazy that we're at the point now where Arthur characters are like flipping through the photos on their phone.
True.
I'm not developing them or something.
I think we had this conversation on the podcast before about like what's the age that's appropriate to get a phone these days. Because I as someone who doesn't have kids, doesn't really hang out with someone with kids, I have no idea.
I think it just depends.
I've seen the memes about iPad kids. I have seen those.
Well, and my niece is something of an iPad kid. Not as bad as other kids, but yeah, definitely was at the time where it's just like, okay, and check out the iPad 2-year-old. But they managed to counter program that pretty well. My sister and my brother-in-law by she's a pretty outdoorsy, adventurous kid, so they did fairly well. She was definitely not raised by an iPad or anything. 10:30, that's pretty late. I'm just saying, like normally Halloween doesn't happen on a weekend,
especially for if you're in third grade.
There must not have been school the next day because if they were originally having the sleepover in the treehouse. This is cute. I always I always like when episodes end like this.
That's actually really... Wait, so I was going to say, how did... DW doesn't know how to read or write. How would she write, like, this is my Treehouse?
I forget if... I think
they might explain it here.
Mm-hmm.
She's Joker-fied. She just wants to watch the world burn.
LaDonna actually thinks that people being scared is funny.
Wow.
Wait a minute. You think scaring all your friends is funny?
That's funny. That's funny to you.
I do. And I'm tired of pretending it's not. I would love to take the footage of DW explaining how this works and then put the Saw theme over it, like at the end of a Saw
That's
movie.
really funny. Arthur, you've been reading all your life.
Ooh, you got a good Saw growl going on there.
That's just because my voice is all messed up right now.
Exactly. All your life you've been teasing DW. Well, now it's time for you to pay the ultimate price. Aw. Arthur's eyes seem really far apart.
Wait, Kate is cognitive. Wait, what?
Kate knows what a low five is.
She knows what a low five is. She's cognizant. She understands pranks.
That's that's the scary image we leave on, is that this baby is sentient.
Oh my god.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this commentary of Arthur and the Haunted Treehouse. Like I said, we're running out of Arthur specials, and we won't be doing this for too much longer. So if you haven't yet, go back and listen to all of the other commentaries. They are available on the free feed, or if you're listening to this on patreon.com/Elwood City Limits, they are available on there as well. So find a copy of the Arthur special you want to watch, then sync up with us. And we've got one for almost every occasion of the year. So check it out. And thank you for joining us for this one. We'll just wrap it up there, Lucas, to help out your ailing voice.
Yeah.
Certainly hope that you get better soon. We've got a little bit more time before we are, at least as of August 2021, before we're back to regularly scheduled ECL.
I'll just say I really liked that one. That compared to some of the other ones we've watched, especially from the Flash era, I thought that was fun.
Yeah, no, I actually quite enjoyed it myself. Especially, I'd say I'd put that probably in the upper echelon of Arthur specials that we've watched so far. So for Lucas Mancini, my name is Will Young. Thank you for joining us for another ECL commentary. Whether you are a patron or listening on the free feed, we appreciate you all the same. And no matter what time of year it is, happy Halloween, and we'll see you next time.